I like that one. Hey, Cynthia. So good to see you here. Cynthia was with us in Rwanda with her husband. It's so good to see you. And I know a lot of you are interested in Japan. And so we've got a lot to talk about. And again, just pop your questions in the chat and I'll make sure we save this video so it'll just go right down into the post. And we see Dora here. Dora has been with us in Tuscany and in Rwanda, and she's going to be with us in Northern Italy. And I have a feeling in Japan. Newfoundland, Florida, Indianapolis. I love it. I love it. I love it. Live outside Seattle, says Suzanne. Moving to Japan in the next few years to be with partner. I need to know there are vegan options. Excellent. Well, good. We're going to talk to Bridie. So I think Bridie said she's here. Let me go find her. I just saw you, Bridie. And I think it should be pretty easy, right? So I'm in the solar system somewhere. I like that. And I just accepted you, Bridie. So let's see. There you are. There you are. Awesome.
Hello.
Hi. I know you really wanted to be in like some beautiful cherry blossom background, but like obviously you have to go with like what the connection is, right?
That's right.
Good. Awesome. Well, hi. One of the things I can see is lots of folks who are going to be with us on upcoming trips. Tara is there. She's going to be with us in France in December in Alsace, and obviously lots of familiar faces here and some new ones as well. So everybody just keep us posted. I'll be checking the chat there, the scrolling chat there, and obviously say hi to Bridie. Bridie is with World Vegan Travel. She's a very good friend, and she and her partner run World Vegan Travel, and that's who run the trips, and I host the trips that we connect together on. And we've done, I don't even know how many trips we've done now. Bridie, how many trips have we done? Dozen?
Must be more than, yeah, I'm saying probably about that.
About a dozen. Dora's there. She says hi. And then, but Bridie and Seb and David and I have traveled to 17 countries together. So we get around. We get around, is what I'm saying. They get around. They get around so much that they're in a freaking country that is 16 hours ahead. Like, it's insane. So right now it's Friday at 4 p.m. What time is it and what day is it for you?
Saturday, 8 a.m.
Wow.
We are just, after this, we will be heading out for a day of sightseeing, I guess, going to the bamboo forest, going to try some delicious, like, Buddhist food as well. So, yeah, it's all good.
That's making me think you're in Kyoto.
Yes, we're still in Kyoto. We're here for another 2 nights, I think. Yeah.
Tell the audience why I surmised that you were in Kyoto. You said temple cuisine.
Oh, right. Okay. So Kyoto has lots and lots and lots of temples around. I guess we could say that it's like the spiritual heart of Japan. And they have a lot of shojinryuri, which is like basically vegan temple food. And it's temple food that is also vegan. It's very, very simple food, I will say. It's very nice, very beautifully presented, very delicious. I really like it. And yeah, we're obviously making sure that we try all of these different kinds of food so that we can get a trip together for your followers, Colleen, that people will feel encompasses the breadth of Japanese cuisine made vegan. That's one of our big goals of being here, so that people will finish the trip feeling like that they have experienced the breadth of this incredible cuisine made vegan. Well, there's other reasons too, but that's one of the big ones.
For sure, and I think it's one of the reasons that I think the trip, it's why we have 350 people on the wait list, because people want to go to this incredible country, and they know that outside of Tokyo, outside of the major cities, not a lot of English is spoken outside of the business world. And so asking for what you want and applying all the principles that I've been encouraging people to apply whenever they eat out, asking for what you want, can be harder if the language, you don't have a shared language, but also there's a lot of fish and fish sauce, right? So is that kind of your general, tell me what you're experiencing so far. I know it's going to be different based on where you are, Tokyo versus Kyoto versus the countryside, et cetera. But what are you finding so far? Hi, Jeff, and hi, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been able to go and visit some vegan restaurants, and of course that's very, very easy. And we have been also trying to find some places outside of the main places. Shiragawa is one place, one small village that is very, very sweet. It's about an hour's bus ride out of Kanazawa, for example. And, you know, they have a couple of options, but they're not really marketed as vegan options. You have to veganize them. So, you know, there is a lot of checking and double checking, like every single little thing. You know, you have this sauce that looks like it might be soy sauce, for example, and then it ends up that there's some dashi, like, or bonita flakes or something like that in there. So you really do kind of have to question everything. I don't want to say it like it's just like this big chore. It's fine for people traveling here independently. You know, it is possible to do, but you know, if you want to be, you know, make sure that you are, you know, being as vegan as you can on your travels. There is a decent amount of double checking that you need to do, because it's something that's so automatic to bring the non-vegan condiments, for example, and add it to a dish, a tofu dish, for example. So you do have to really be a little bit careful about that. And we are very lucky we have Alina with us, helping us. She has lived in Japan for 10 years and she speaks Japanese fluently, and she's really sort of teaching us a lot as well. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it sounds like it's mostly fish in terms of the hidden things. The obvious things are the obvious things, but in terms of like really double checking to be vigilant, it's fish sauce. You said bonito flakes, you said dashi. So it's those little bits, you know, that in terms of being consistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Honey LeBron's, hey honey, good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. So Honey asked, how easy would it be if restaurants everywhere just knew how to label vegan friendly items and allergens? And so actually on that note, I was thinking, you know, I know when you, obviously you lived in Bangkok for so long. So in Southeast Asia, because of, again, Buddhism, which obviously Buddhism is prevalent throughout Japan. So, you know, if you just said, you know, Buddhist cuisine, like if you just asked for that, like they knew what you meant when you said, what's the term for Buddhist cuisine in Thai and Vietnamese?
Xijiangyuri, not really, because that's a particular style of cuisine. You couldn't go into any sort of restaurant and ask for that, because restaurants here very often they'll focus on one particular style of dish. For example, you go to a ramen restaurant, you go to an udon restaurant, you go to a soba restaurant, you go to an okonomiyaki restaurant, generally speaking. So really you have to go to particular places for the Xijiangyuri food, and some of those are in temples which happen to open their doors for visitors. And for example, here in Kyoto, we have been to a couple of places that are real restaurants, normal restaurants, where they offer food that is very similar to that cuisine. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but there's no sort of real, you can't just go into a Japanese restaurant, really, any Japanese restaurant, and ask for the temple version of it. Unlike in Thailand, where you can ask for gimje or chai. In Vietnam, it doesn't quite work like that.
Right.
From my noticing.
Yeah, so it's going to be so exciting, and thank you for doing all of the really hard work that you're doing. I want to say you and Seb, but I know you're the one who's a little more ardent about the cuisine, because I know it's not Seb's favorite cuisine. But Japanese cuisine, actually next to Italian cuisine, is my favorite cuisine, and it's specifically Shojin cuisine. But that's because I live in California, and I am lucky enough to have restaurants that actually specialize in Shojin cuisine, specialize in that really special temple food, and that's not going to be the case everywhere. But Kyoto, it sounds like it would be. So for so that's something for those who are kind of traveling independently to know. But for our trip, so what we're talking about is Joyful Vegan Japan. We're talking about it for April of 2024. And so could you just give a rough idea of kind of like what the cities are on the itinerary, just kind of overview of like where people would expect to be going for this trip? Because we're thinking it's going to be 10 days, 11 days, or 12 days. We're still deciding on that. That's part of what you guys are deciding on also while you're there. So generally speaking, what are we talking about in terms of cities?
Yeah, okay. So, of course, we need to go to, there's places that we really, really want to go to. Those are Tokyo, Kyoto, probably definitely Kanazawa, and also hopefully to Hiroshima as well. We might have to cut one of those depending on the time frame that we have. So those are like the main ones. We are actually traveling at the moment, Colin. I think I mentioned this briefly to you during Golden Week. Cherry blossoms happened like a month ago,
Okay.
and we're now in Golden Week. And Golden Week is a little bit like it's not New Year, but it's like Chinese New Year or Tet, Lunar New Year, in that people are traveling a lot. So it's incredibly, incredibly busy. It's the crowds at the main sites in Kyoto, for example, are just they're like
Wow.
this. It's really it's the main sites are really, really busy. So that's something that we need to think about closely. And if we do decide that we want to hit the cherry blossoms, and of course there's absolutely no guarantee that we will definitely get them, we just have to hedge our bets. We might end up if we end up doing a second departure, the second departure trip may have a different starting and ending point than the first trip, just so that we maximize our chances of hitting those cherry blossoms if we can. So yes, there's Tokyo, of course, huge, big, massive city, but it's really fun. There's some really fun vegan options. There's like the best ramen that you could possibly imagine. Just getting around is just so fun because the public transportation system is excellent. Just walking around Shibuya is so fun. It's really great. Then to Kanazawa, which is a smaller city that maybe not so many people have heard of, but it's kind of like a much smaller version of Kyoto. And it also has that beautiful Shiragawa village that I was talking about earlier, and possibly some really great cultural experiences there. And of course then Kyoto, we've got like some really amazing food options here, the incredible shrines and temples of Kyoto, sake breweries, all sorts of wonderful things like that. And then Hiroshima, of course, the main reasons we go to Hiroshima is to visit the memorials there. It's a very humbling experience. And then we'll be visiting Osaka, of course, but likely on the trip, Osaka is just a starting and an ending point.
Right. Jeff said the Hachiko statue at Shibuya Station. Have you been there?
Yes, it's Shibuya, just at the crossing outside the train station. That's there, and there are actually quite a few of little sort of homages to him throughout the Shibuya area. It's really quite lovely. Nice. Even a little bus.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, for those who don't know, I actually did a whole podcast episode on animal monuments around the world. So if you're interested in monuments of animals who are honored because of the relationship with people, his story is very famous. It was made into a movie from the 1970s, 80s with Toshiro Mifune, with Nakadai, who's one of my favorite actors, but I couldn't get through the movie. It was just really dated and not great. And then I think Richard Gere, they did an American version with Richard Gere, but it's a very famous story of a dog who would meet his person at the train station every day. And one day he shows up and the person never comes, and he had died of a heart attack, and the dog just comes back again and again and again and again every day, and he's just devastated at the loss. But it's a beautiful story, and they have a monument at the train station. So you're talking about it's crowded, you're talking about the beauty, you're talking about the food. I want to hear more about that. And so how has the trip been overall? What are you finding? I'm curious. I mean, Japan, one of the reasons we have 350 people on our list is because that list kept growing as Japan stayed closed down. So, I know we're all kind of, WHO today is lifting the emergency requirements, or lifting the emergency of COVID. Are people masked? Are you finding them, obviously one of the things that COVID did to us is kind of we interact with each other differently. We're kind of used to being apart from each other. So what are you finding in terms of just the people and just the trip overall? How's it going?
Yeah. So in terms of masking and things like that, you no longer have to be masked in public places, and this is a recent
Right.
development actually.
Right.
But for anyone that spent much time in Asia, they will know that it has a very, it's really, there is a desire to do the best for everybody out there, and as a result, a lot of people are still wearing masks. So many staff in hotels are still wearing masks. Many people going around, even walking around outside, many people are still wearing masks. And whether that's they're just they don't want to catch it, or maybe they're not feeling well, COVID or otherwise, because masking when sick was a very common thing to do throughout Asia, even before the pandemic. So a lot of people are still wearing masks, but there's no requirements, and everyone just seems to be getting on with their thing. Everything's fine. In terms of how the scout and the trip is going, it's been really, really interesting. Spent lots of time in Japan before this, but this really is my first time in Japan. And I have a cool story. I don't know whether you saw my email newsletter, Colleen, but it's kind of cool. Can I share?
Please do. Yes.
Okay, so this just blew my mind. I kind of knew this, but I guess I didn't really. I thought maybe it was anecdotal and that, it might not happen to everybody, but this is what happened. So Seb purchased for us a JR pass, which is a particular kind of travel pass, a train pass that you can buy for like 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. A little bit like a Euro rail ticket kind of thing, in that you can travel around on the trains. There are some limitations, but it allows you to travel around on trains. Now, these passes, even though you do save money in the long run, they're still not cheap. They're still not cheap at all. And I had been gifted like this little retractable pass thing that you put on your bag, and then you kind of pull it up, and you can use it to tap on and off the train. So I was mindful that this string could snap, so I was trying to put it in my bag all the time. Anyway, we got off at Kanazawa Station. I tapped out of the Shinkansen into Kanazawa Station, and then I kind of like got along with my day. So that was about 11 o'clock. I tapped out, and then at about 6 o'clock, I looked down and I realised that I no longer had my pass there, and I just, these things are really expensive, you guys, really expensive. So I was seriously bummed, and I looked up and I found out that this is not refundable. This is not replaceable. There's nothing you can do. This is very kind of typical, that the way you buy this pass is kind of funny, but let's just say that you cannot replace it. You have to keep this thing really safe. And they said, you can check at the station because sometimes these things are handed in. I was like, oh, okay, it's possible. I mean, I only lost it a few hours ago. So I went to the station, nothing there. Elena said, came with us, and there's nothing there. And then we went to the police station that was just outside. We thought it was closed, like the shutters were all down and everything. And we were like, oh, okay, maybe they're closed. So but Elena tried it. We opened the door, and 2 policemen came out of the office at the back and sat down, and then just listened to us explain everything about this pass. We showed the Google timeline and where we've been, and they were like, okay, well, they walked through this other police area. We don't have it here, but maybe it's in another police station at a nearby precinct, because they walked through this neighbouring area, because we had been all over town during this day. And then, so they called them, and they spoke to someone who was out and about, and he had heard that a pass had been dropped off. So he said, let me go back to the station right now and check it for you. And Alina's, of course, listening to this conversation, so she could kind of hear one side of this conversation, and she was like, I think they might have found it. And we're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And all of this time I'm like thinking, they're not going to find it, but I'm just shocked that they are going to so much effort for this lost pass. It's not even a crime, it's a lost pass.
Right.
Anyway, so we just sat there, and the Japan policeman sat there waiting with us while we're just like twiddling our thumbs for like 10 minutes. And lo and behold, we got a call. They did have it. Some concerned Kanazawa citizen had seen it, immediately picked it up, immediately dropped it off to the police station, and it was there. And then we had to what the pass looked like, some numbers on the pass, because the pass isn't even named at all. It's just got a few digits from your passport number. And this is a tip for everyone: label all of these things with your name and email address, because very often there's not identifying information. So they had it, and not only that, 2 policemen came and dropped off the pass to where I was.
It's unbelievable. Like, that's unbelievable. Can you imagine any city in, I'll just say the United States? I just can't even imagine someone picking up, any kind of ticket, whatever, and then bring it to the police station and knowing that it might wind up in the right hands.
I know. It just blew me away, and the 3 of us were just, wow, this is incredible. I just was so thrilled and humbled and surprised, and it's just a great story, and I think really indicates just how safe this place is to visit, how helpful everybody is, and what makes Japan such a unique place to go to.
Are you seeing a lot of North Americans and Europeans? Are you seeing a lot now that it's starting to open up, or mostly still just
a few? It's a little bit hard to say because, as I said, it's Golden Week right now. Basically, since we've been outside of Tokyo, it's Golden Week, so there's so many Japanese tourists. So it's hard to tell.
Right, but you're standing out a bit. I mean, like, there's a lot of Japanese.
They're used to foreign tourists, but generally people that look like me are definitely the minority.
Well, and your height as well. David's going to be really David, 6'3". So Suzanne asked, and it's so we talked a little bit about the restaurants in Kyoto. Are you seeing restaurants with separate vegetarian or vegan sections, or more likely to be just complete, or more likely vegan restaurants, completely vegan restaurants?
So there are quite a few vegan restaurants, particularly in Kyoto, and some non-vegan restaurants offer vegan options. Many of these are listed on Happy Cow, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So basically, as very often, Happy Cow is a great resource to go to. I think we did go to one place that was not on Happy Cow that we kind of stumbled across through some pretty intensive Googling. So yeah, it's Japan, like I mentioned earlier, this person might not have heard, but it's not really like you can go to any restaurant and just ask them to make something. You would need a lot of work in order to do that, and some communication help for sure.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I remember what David said, that when he was in Tokyo, though, several years ago, that one cuisine that is very popular in Tokyo, especially, is Italian, that he would find really good Italian restaurants in Tokyo.
Yes.
Did you find that?
Oh, yes. I should say that actually, that Seb and I on this trip, we've been really, really focusing on Japanese food, because of course we want to create a Japanese trip for our travelers, and as such we haven't really been going to a lot of restaurants that are Italian or Thai, for example. We have been trying to go to some restaurants that have had some Japanese takes on some maybe not Japanese things. So, for example, a couple of days ago, we were in Ansoff, they have quite a few restaurants, including one in Kyoto, and they have, those very, very fat pancakes that are quite popular in Asia. Have you heard about that? So, it's like an Asian version of a French dish or American dish. These big, very thick, fluffy pancakes. We're talking like this thick, and they're like matcha flavored with matcha cream sauce on top. So we're trying to incorporate some of those like Japanese takes on other cuisines, but of course most of our focus has been on Japanese food, and as a result we haven't been trying a lot of Italian.
Poor Seb. Poor Seb. So yeah, if you want Italian cuisine, come with us to Italy. If you want French cuisine, come with us to France. We've got spots available in our September trip to French countryside, so the Loire Valley and Dordogne, and in our Alsace trip in December. So one question we had from Cynthia, actually, from our Rwanda trip, is about animal sanctuaries. Is there a plan? Because we, as those of you who know, we always try to incorporate some kind of visit to an animal sanctuary, some kind of refuge, or some kind of animal protection organization. So what are you finding there since you've been there?
Yeah, we haven't found much yet, but then we haven't really been looking yet for that. We stumbled across on Airbnb experiences, actually, this sounds lovely woman who has like a rescue cat cafe, except it's not a cafe, it's in her house. And yeah, she just invites that as a way to raise money for her cats. I think she founded quite a big organization called the Japan Cat Network or something like that. And she offers this opportunity where you can go into her house. So we're thinking about reaching out to her, but we haven't found a lot of sanctuaries yet. I'm sure they're there, but we haven't been looking.
Okay. Yeah. And so Cynthia's still here. So yeah, it's really tricky. I did do a podcast episode on cat cafes, and it's still very relevant. I really encourage people to listen to it because cat cafes, they don't necessarily mean that they're there as rescues for cats. And Japan in particular is known for its kind of novelty cat cafes, right?
And pig cafes and hedgehog cafes and all sorts of things that are a little bit sad when you walk past and realize what they are.
Yeah, right. So there's a minute where it's like, oh my God, there's a hedgehog. And then you're like, wait, I don't think a hedgehog should be inside a cafe with people and glass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so that's one of the things for folks to know is we are incredibly discerning when it comes to what we choose and where we go and the organizations we choose. And if we can't find an animal sanctuary that would be up to our standards, then we're just not going to go. But by virtue of being on this trip and obviously celebrating all the vegan cuisine and doing all of the work that you're doing to veganize the things, it's obviously animal friendly in that way. But we just don't know yet about the sanctuaries. How much time do you have, Brady? Because I know we had scheduled this for a half hour. I just want to be mindful of your time.
Yes, maybe 5 more minutes, Colleen. We just have to get a bus in 20 minutes or so.
Yes, we don't want you to miss your bus, although someone will return it to you if you miss your bus. How that works? But, yeah. Okay.
There'll be another one in 10 minutes. What will happen?
I'm super jealous because, this is a place that I've been wanting to go for a very long time. Japan, Japanese culture, cuisine, language, film, music, tea, religion, spirituality. It has been a huge part of my interest. So I know it wasn't a hardship for you, but I know Seb, we had to really convince Seb to do. And the 350 people on our wait list, I think, are convincing him as well. So for those who are interested in this trip and to learn more and to know, because if I recall, we want to get this up ASAP, even before we leave for Italy in June for our Tuscany and Northern Italy trips, right? So if people are interested, I need to get something. People can go to joyfulvegantrips.com. They can go to worldvegantravel.com. And especially on the Joyful Vegan Trips page at World Vegan Travel, there is a place for them to put in their name and email address to demonstrate interest in the Japan 2024 trips. And I say trips because it's probably going to be, I think it's going to be like Rwanda. We think it's going to sell out very quickly and we'll probably do it back-to-back. But there's lots of people on that list. And, lots of people on the list doesn't mean they're all going to go because timing might not work and money, etc. So go to World Vegan Travel, go to Joyful Vegan Trips. .com, and put your name on the list, because you never know. And then the other thing I would ask you is, what are 3 things people who are interested in this trip should know about these?
All right. 3 things. So the first one is you need to be able to sit on the floor for long periods of time.
Sit on the floor. Did you say sit on the floor? Sit on the floor.
Sit on the floor. I mean, we might be able to accommodate sometimes for people that have a problem with that in certain restaurants, for example. But right now I am sitting on a floor. It's not a tatami mat, but it's like a platform. So I've been sitting cross-legged the entire time, and there is a lot of that. So, while sometimes there's like normal tables, not always. So that you need to be aware of.
So,
and
when you say normal, so I've been to some restaurants traditional Japanese restaurants where you're still on a mat, but you are like, it's like a sunken table. So your legs do go underneath, or you're mostly finding it like, nope, just you're sitting on a mat, or you're sitting on a cushion.
Sitting on a mat. Sometimes there's that modification where you're actually on a low table, but you're not really cross-legged. But right now I'm cross-legged, and I've been cross-legged at many of the restaurants that we've been sitting on. Many of the experiences that we've had sitting down have been cross-legged. So that's definitely one. The second one is you definitely need to like Japanese food, because that's going to be a huge focus of this trip. It might be difficult. I know on some trips we have been able to accommodate certain food allergies and preferences. That might be more difficult on this trip as well. We're really going to look at embracing as much Japanese food as we can, with maybe the odd meal here or there. But you're definitely going to want to love Japanese food to come on this trip. And Colleen, I'm rather embarrassed.
You don't belong.
No, that's right. Rice or noodles for sure, and tofu. There's a lot of tofu here. And Colleen, I'm really embarrassed to say, but I know I told you to ask me this question, but I can't remember the third thing.
So Brady did ask me these questions in advance and tell me her answer.
Yeah, no, I can't remember.
So you also, and the Japanese cuisine wasn't one of your answers, but I think it's really, really helpful. It's really helpful. The other thing you said was being able to take your shoes off very quickly.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes. So I'm sure people are aware of this, that you have to take your shoes off when you go into people's houses and what have you. But very often when you're going into restaurants as well. So really intricate shoelaces sort of things is probably not a good idea. I was just imagining, Colleen, all of our travelers, like 24 people, all wearing lace-up shoes. It would take us in a small, tiny little restaurant. We need to do something better. We need some sort of slip-on arrangement.
Well, I do think that, I'm thinking of when we were in Rwanda, but we all have hiking shoes, and that takes a long time. But it's going to be a different trip. It's a different time of year. It's a different, we're all dressed differently. But that's helpful to know. I think we'll discuss that in Q&A when we do our Japan Q&As. And then finally, the other thing you said, which is something that people do need to know, is that it is not inexpensive to go to Japan. It's just not cheap at all. You get what you pay for, because it's an incredible place. But and that's already been included on the website, where people are putting in their interest still. They know that this is not going to be, but this is like a once in a lifetime trip, and especially for the number of days we're going and the amount of things we're seeing and the work that you are putting into scouting to make sure it is the most fabulous trip. It's going to be worth every penny. But people will see that when they go over to the website, and in the end, once it goes live, they can make their own decision once it's live.
Exactly. If we do go in the cherry blossom time as well, this really is peak time. too. So that also is a premium in terms of hotel prices and these kinds of things. Yeah, it's been very interesting because so many Japanese restaurants are so small, so it's hard for them to accommodate big groups of people. Everything, lots of things in Japan are very small. Hotels are small, servings are small, which is kind of a good thing. Yeah, so as a result, you know, it's a bit more challenging than it would be to run a trip elsewhere where there's an abundance of hotels and, you know, there's only the time that we're planning to go. If we can during the cherry blossom time, everything is at a premium. So yeah, it's going to be more expensive for sure. Yeah. More expensive than it would be in November, let's say.
Right. And finally, you know, on that note, is, you know, that's the reason we run these trips, and I want to host these trips, is because we're giving people an experience that would be more challenging to do on your own. Not that you can't, of course, that's the work I do, is to really encourage people to, you know, do your best wherever you go, ask for what you want. You know, you're not going to be perfect, but these trips are really so special. I'm really grateful you exist, and really grateful that you're there, and cannot wait to see more. Follow Bridie at World Vegan Travel, the photos that she's been putting up and the videos. I know you're putting a lot of work into just getting everybody on board, but I don't think you're going to have to sell people much on this. Just relax a little bit.
That would be great.
So you can drop out, Bridie, and we'll keep connecting. And if anybody wants to stay on and ask me some more questions, I'm happy to answer them, and then I'll drop off. But thanks, my friend. Say hi to Seb, and I'll make sure this gets saved, and you can put it up at World Vegan Travel.
Okay. I'm going to press the X button. I think that's what I do. That's the only option that I see. Oh, no, I can leave.
Okay. Awesome. She's gone. She left. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for your questions. Thanks, Suzanne. And you're absolutely right, Suzanne. You know, because, you know, unfortunately, dairy is becoming, and has been for many decades, becoming more prevalent in Asian cultures, and especially Japan. It's unfortunate, especially obviously having such an American presence there and an American influence. There's been more dairy than is good for anybody, and yet still traditional Japanese food would not have, you know, dairy products in it. There'll be some, you know, in some desserts, for example, but not your traditional mochi desserts and etc. It's mostly going to be meat, but that's going to be so obvious. It's really going to be the fish. It's going to be the fish sauce. Oh, really? Are people rejoining? Oh, interesting, Dora. I think I'm still live. I see the thing that says live. I haven't noticed that I'm still live. So if you have any questions, let me know. I know it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. I'm super excited. This is a long time coming because Japan was you know, closed down for so long. We just have so much interest in this trip. Someone did ask about having a picnic in the cherry blossom time. Yeah, I mean, it's just, we can't guarantee cherry blossoms. We could get maybe some fake ones and put them on trees somewhere. Yeah, I don't know what happened when you left, Bridie, but I'm good. I think people can still see me. I still see people here, and I still see that it's live. Can everybody give me a thumbs up if you still see me or ask me a question? Put a little comment in. I'm seeing some hearts. And yeah, so that's Bridie, World Vegan Travel. And if you guys are interested, you know, just head over. I'm going to make sure it's over on joyfulvegantrips.com. On joyfulvegantrips.com is where there's a summary of all of the trips that I host with World Vegan Travel. We started these trips together many years ago, and now, you know, they're expanding and doing trips without me, which is you know, amazing and great and fantastic. So we've got our Italy trips that are completely full, but we've got our French trips coming up, and our France trips. And I will say that it's the countryside in France is like Japan. Like, it's just really difficult to eat vegan. You can do it. You will do it. You will survive. You will eat, but you're not going to be having the traditional French cuisine from the Loire Valley, from the Dordogne. But it's going to be an incredible trip. We do have an elephant sanctuary there. We're going to the first elephant sanctuary in Europe, and just going to the most incredible places. So that trip is completely confirmed. It's in September, and David just got our trips, our flights back home. We had a flight there, but we didn't have, so now we have all of our flights for all of our trips. super, super relieved about that. And these are all trips on awards miles. And so for those who are interested, people ask me this a lot. My husband became just kind of an expert in travel hacking. He learned it from Seb from World Vegan Travel. And he was on Brighty's, my husband David was on Brighty's podcast. It's like one of the most popular podcasts because people are really interested in the travel hacking, and it really makes a difference. So we are flying to Italy and back again, the French countryside and back again. That trip starts in Paris and ends in Bordeaux. And in December, we're going to Alsace, so starting in Paris and ending in, where does it end? Where does it end? It's in the Alsatian region. I think maybe in Basel. We might actually, that might wind up finishing up in Basel in Switzerland. The point is, we're flying to all of those places, business class, all on miles, and I think the cost for both of us for round trip to all these places, business class, the dollars, I think it's about $3,000, maybe almost 3,700 for all of them, and that's just like some awards miles they don't even require that you pay any dollars. It just depends on what the deal is that he can find. It's all on miles. And so David does the podcast with Brighty. He did the podcast with Brighty and he talked all about it. And it really is incredible. And I'm really grateful to him because he does all of that work. I host the trips and I do my bit, but his bit is getting us there and back on business without, spending a lot of money. So it's pretty awesome. So yeah. So anyway, go check out World Vegan Travel Podcast and then look for David, my husband, and look for his yay, Grandma Am. So good to see you. Awesome. Anybody have any more questions before we head out? Thanks for all your well wishes. I am doing very well today. I was out on a scooter down at Jack London Square. We went to have a glass of wine, and then I scooted all around the waterfront. And Timeless, we have a vegan bakery here in Oakland. Started on Piedmont Avenue, and they've expanded. They have one in Berkeley on College Avenue, and now they have one in Jack London Square. And I think they also have one downtown on like 12th Street in Oakland. And so I was scooting all around. David couldn't even keep up with me on my scooter. And then we saw the sign for Timeless, and we were like, oh yeah, I forgot that Timeless was here. So I got a little truffle, and David got a little equivalent of like a Twix bar and a mocha coffee, and we had a really lovely time. And tonight we're having some bare knuckle pizza and our favorite pizza, which we haven't had in a really long time. And I'm doing really well. I'm starting to put weight on my ankle, and by Tuscany, I'm going to be walking without, they say, without a supportive device, but we are going to still get the wheelchair for me when I'm going to go to the airport because I do get sore after putting any weight on it at all. But I still have like 4 weeks before we leave, 4.5 weeks before we leave for Tuscany, and then we have a Northern Italy trip, and I won't be hiking in the Dolomites, but I will be doing the best I can, and it is what it is, but it's healing, and I'm really grateful for that. So thanks for all of your well wishes. Thank you so much, Dora. Yes, you will see me. I will be there. I will be walking around, and I'm really excited about it. So thanks everybody for joining. If you ever have any more questions, you know where to find me. You can just DM me, or you can just add comments. I broke my ankle, honey. Fractured it. Doing a really exciting thing. I was stepping down off step. That's it. That's all I did. Party was over. I had just hosted Easter Saturday with all of my friends. A few friends had remained, and they were in the kitchen cleaning up, and I was coming down the Ramada with a friend, and my ankle just rolled out from under me, and that just broke like that. Hi Tiago, do I think more people are becoming vegan? Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I think you did? Wait, what? Tell me more. What? Cat Fox, thank you so much. I am so glad that is an audiobook. I really wanted that book to be an audiobook. I'm so glad it's an audiobook. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it has helped you. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. That's insane. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at my phone, but let that be a lesson to you. Don't walk down a step. You can look at your phone. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I hope you're healed. Are you healed completely? Tell me everything. Yes. Do I think more people are becoming vegan? Yes. Do I think more people are eating vegan? Yes, even more so, right? So I know there's a whole contingency of people who think that if it's not everything, then it's not worth doing anything at all, which I don't agree with at all. So anything that people are doing to reduce their consumption of animal flesh, fluids, and ferments is a good thing, and I support it 100%. So I do think more and more people are eating, hopefully more vegetables, but certainly the products that are available now that are plant-based meats and obviously plant-based milks, etc. It's going to be a long journey to break people of the meat habit, even the plant-based meats. People are just really used to the texture and the fat and the salt and the familiarity of animal products. And so anybody who criticizes the plant-based meats and the cheeses, just don't buy them if you don't want them. But that's what people are looking for, because that's what people are used to. And so whatever helps people to stop consuming animal flesh and fluids is a good thing. And I think more and more people are getting on board. So Laura, I think that is Elle Bates. So I think she's talking about The Joyful Vegan, because that's the only book that I have on audio book on Audible. So The Joyful Vegan is an ebook, it's a paperback, and it's also an audiobook. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And keep your fingers crossed, because my agent is going to hear back from a publisher next week. So fingers crossed, I'll tell you more about it. But if this publisher isn't the right fit, then we're going to start shopping it around to other publishers. But I'm pretty hopeful about this particular book, and here's to that. Awesome. Good, Tiago. I'm glad you do. And honey, let me just see what you said. That was November. It healed quickly. It was technically just a fracture of the cuboid, mostly a bad sprain. Acupuncture helped a lot. So did Epsom salt. Okay, that's great. Yeah, mine's a fracture of the distal fibula. And it's healing. And I've been putting out more and more posts about kind of, not that I don't already eat really well and nutrient dense foods, but I'm eating even more nutrient dense foods and really focusing on getting turmeric and everything and anti-inflammatory. And my ankle's looking really good. Right now it's just a boot. You can't really see anything, but there's my boot. There's my beautiful boot. I have a name for my boot. I decided to name my boot because I wanted to befriend my boot. So the name of my boot, what book do I see there? What is the book there I'm seeing? What is the book? Oh, it's that book. Oh, that's so cute. That's a children's speaking book there. The focus of the new book door is compassion, so not surprising. The working title is Daily Dose of Compassion. So it would be, I'll just tell you, it would be 366, because of course there's leap year, 366 days of zero waste, plant-based, animal-friendly living. And so it would be everything I know and love that I thrive by, and that I think we all could do better living by. So compassion, not surprisingly. Yes, so it is, yeah, well, that's a filter. The planetarium, that's a filter. But it is a beautiful room. My favorite part of my room is what I'm looking at right now. So not only the view, I have this beautiful view, and also my beautiful buck and my beautiful doe, and all my books. That's what makes me happy. And what was I going to say about, I was going to say one more thing about, turmeric. And just, naming my boot. Yeah, I named my boot. I named my boot after a Stoic philosopher who was a boxer. His name was Cleanthes. And we don't have a lot from him because we lost a lot of texts, but I named my boot Cleanthes because he was a boxer, which means he was really strong, and he really valued just right living and compassion and strength and body work. And so I thought, I'm going to name my boot Cleanthes, and I did. And so that's Cleanthes. That's Cleanthes there. Okay, I'm going to go have a happy hour with my husband, having Sant'Anna vino da Toscana, perché andiamo a Italia in giugno e sono entusiasta perché amo Italia, and I can't wait to go back. So have a wonderful night. And we're also going to pizza tonight. Friday night is usually pizza night, but we haven't had it in a long time. I've been making focaccia, which is awesome. So I know I'm a dork. I haven't named my scooters. If you have any suggestions for names for my scooters, let me know. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your time. Lots of love. Let me know if you need anything else. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. For the animals, this is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Ciao.